Welcome everybody, it's so great to see you. I had no idea it's going to be this big, so I'm going to have to modify some things, so bear with me. Inshallah, we're going to learn so much. Make sure that you have your name tags in front of you, just like this wonderful sister Bufaina, and she's going to show it to the rest of her table, inshallah, so that everybody is acquainted with your name. Alright, moving on. Bismillah. Wassalatu ala rasulillah. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Just another brief introduction of myself here to let you know why I'm here and why I'm presenting. Again, I am head of upper elementary at UAF. My master's is in educational leadership for the administration of coaching teachers. 12 plus years experience in teaching and school leadership. An interesting fact about me, I'm actually a pastry chef specializing in wedding cakes. So when I am not teaching or if I'm not working, I am making wedding cakes. And it's another passion of mine. So how many of you not married yet? Let's see me after. How many here are administrators? How many are teachers? MashaAllah, perfect. Exactly what, of course, administrators, I am honored that you're here. Inshallah, you can bring this back to your teachers. And as for you teachers, inshallah, you bring this back to your classrooms. I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you benefit from this session over here and you take it back to your classrooms. I will be honored if you just email me and say, Eman, I actually did this morning and it worked. I can't wait to hear that from you, inshallah. I am here to present on a curriculum. Sister Bertina told me not to call it discipline curriculum, but it actually is. But we want to do away with that word, with the D word. We don't want to call it discipline anymore because the way this program works, we are proactive, not reactive. We make sure that we avoid the behavior before it happens instead of the punitive punishment that happens after the behavior occurs. What is responsive classroom? An evidence-based approach to teaching and discipline that focuses on engaging academics and positive community, effective management, and developmental awareness. Independent research has found that the responsive approach, classroom approach, is associated with higher academic achievement in math and reading. So this is research, guys, and this actually is proven that it works inside the classroom. It improves school climate and higher quality instruction. It has been described by the Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning, the SEL actually, as one of the most well-designed, evidence-based social and emotional learning programs out there. It's one of my favorites. When we were working together, mashallah, we were looking for something that matches the Islamic, that the whole child, right? The Islamic education, and making sure that we're educating the whole child, and it targeted every standard that we put together. So every program has principles, right? And these are the guiding principles of the responsive classroom. By the way, I'm not going to talk the whole time. That's not the purpose, but I need to let you know of these principles before we get up and start moving around. And inshallah, we have enough space to do what we have planned today. But I need to let you know of these guiding principles and how amazing they are. The social curriculum is as important as the academic curriculum. If the student cannot relate to you, if you don't have that rapport with them, if you don't develop that safe environment inside the classroom, they will never learn. They will not grasp anything in your classroom, and that's not the point of you in the classroom, right? You're there to teach them, and you need to make sure that they are socially accepted and welcomed and included, and the only way to do that is bring in an approach like this to your classroom. How children learn is as important as what they learn. Very self-explanatory. The greatest greatest cognitive growth occurs through social interaction. How many of you are aware of Maria Montessori, the Montessori approach, right? This is exactly what she was saying. Children learn through play, through activities, not through how I'm talking to you right now and lecturing and you're sitting there taking notes, and that's not how children learn, unfortunately. They learn out there. They learn with their hands. They learn interactively. There is a specific set of social skills that children need to learn and practice in order to be successful academically and socially. Cooperation, assertion, responsibility, empathy, and self-control. These are the components that responsive classroom focuses on, which actually is the acronym for CARE. Okay, CARE. C, cooperation, assertion, responsibility, empathy, and self-control. Make sure you note that, inshallah. Guys, there are 7 principles, by the way. This is the 6th one. Knowing the children we teach individually, culturally, and developmentally is as important as knowing the content we teach. You can be a PhD in math. You can be the best English teacher out there. But if you don't know your child, trust me, you will not know how to teach them. You will not know how to approach them. I have a little story to share, even though we have a crunch of time, but I'm going to share it anyway. When I was in 6th grade, I couldn't wait to have pizza with the principal. This is kind of like the best behaved, the most, I don't know. It's really more about behavior. So it was the best behaved during the month of whatever month it was. And I kept waiting every month for it to be my turn so that I can have pizza with the principal. And finally, it was my turn, and it was Ramadan. And I was so upset, because I really wanted pizza, and I really wanted to have it with the principal. It's an honor. I was a 6th grader. I was like, 11, 12 years old, and that was a big deal for me, right? So the teacher finally announced it in front of the classroom. Eman is the student of the month, and she's gonna have pizza with the principal. And I'm sitting there like, so, I don't care, I don't want to have it. So the teacher was like, taken aback, like, what do you mean? Don't you want to have pizza with the principal? And I'm like, no, not really, thank you, you could pass it on to somebody else. And like when you're trying to hold on to tears back, and you're just like, you want to cry, but you want to stand strong, and that was me. And so, I think that teacher spoke to another teacher later on, and she told him about what I said. And he was like, you know why? Because it's Ramadan. And then she was like, oh my God, okay, we can fix that. And she came to me later on, and she was like, you're taking a whole pie home. And I was like, really? Okay, I'm in. Right, so that turned my day like 360 degrees. I was miserable, I was sad, I was upset, but because this teacher found out about my background, where I come from, by the way, I was the only Muslim, only hijabi in a public school in Jersey City, New Jersey. All right, so, and it was from like low income environment. Nobody knew what a Muslim was at the time. So that was a big deal for me, guys. So please, learn about your students. Know where they come from. Know their struggles. Know where, what's going on at home, so that you can reach them and you can finally deliver your lesson. Am I finished with those principles? Knowing the families, how we, the adults at school, work together is as important as individual competence. We can move on, inshallah. Very self-explanatory. Here are the core practices, inshallah, before we move on to our activities. This is responsive classroom, in a nutshell. Establishing rules. And I'm going to very lightly tap into these core practices because I only want to focus on morning meeting. There's so much into this program. I can't give it to you in 40 minutes. So I'm just gonna give you one segment of it, which is morning meeting. However, I do want to tap lightly on the other segments, which is establishing rules. This usually happens in the first week or so of school. You establish the rules by coming up with the rules with your students so that they can have ownership of those rules. You don't stand there and say, no talking, no eating in the class, no, we're very respectful. Those are your rules, not theirs. For it to be a collaborative effort so that everybody has ownership in the classroom, have them come up with the rules. What do you think we should have on this poster as our rules so that we can have a safe and fun and engagement environment? And they tell you, no talking while the teacher's talking. Oh, perfect. Write it down. Write it down in front of them. Once you establish about 4 or 5 rules, nothing more than that, have them sign it. Gives them ownership. And it makes them more aware while they're in your classroom. Oh, that was my rule, and I have to, live up to it. Interactive modeling. Again, modeling. I'm all about modeling. You want it, even if it's content, you want your student to learn a certain content, you show them first. You do it first, especially in writing. Like if you were in my writer's workshop last year, I said when you want them to write the purpose or the main idea or the topic sentence in a paragraph, you make sure you wrote it yourself at home. You're prepared. You show them exactly, okay, so this is my story. This is how I'm going to write it. And this is the words I'm using, stuff like that. So you're modeling. Or as a vice principal, I usually tell my students, model for me how to walk in the hallway. Show me what's the best way. Instead of walk, don't run, sit up, stop talking, I ask them to model it for me so that, again, that ownership is there. Teacher language is so important. And there are books and books on each and every one of these segments. Logical consequences, not punitive, proactive, not reactive. Academic choice, not every child learns the same way. Not every child wants to write a paper. Not every child wants to make a poster for you at the end of the unit. You give them the choice. So when I give an assignment, I give them about 7 ways they can deliver the standards to me at the end of the unit. They can write a paper, they can make a play, drama, whatever. They can make a poster, be creative, as everybody will deliver the same, what you need them to deliver, but not in the same way because that's not how kids learn. That's not how we learn. And finally, my favorite part, morning meeting. There are 4 components to morning meeting. Greeting, as the students walk in, it's so important. Please acknowledge each and every student as they walk into your classroom. Greet them, make them feel that they exist, right? Everyone wants to feel that way. Sharing, students share news or information about themselves. For greetings, students as well greet each other. Not only do teachers greet the students, but we all sit in a circle, like we hopefully we can today, and we everybody greets one another, everybody's acknowledged. Sharing, students share news or information about themselves and respond to each other in a positive way. The group activity, the whole class, a short inclusive activity, they do a short inclusive activity together, and morning message, finally. This ties, it transitions into the academic part of the day. So before they walk in, I actually have a morning message on the board, just like what I did for you today. I welcomed you, told you what to do. But usually it transitions into the next part of your day. Please go get your journals. This is how it starts. Welcome to my class. I'm so glad you're here today. I hope you had fun in the morning meeting. Please go back to your chairs, take out your journals, and let's start the entry of the day. And that's just an example. Go ahead. Okay, so let's model. I'm trying to see what's the best way to do that. Should we have it in classroom setting or? around the table.
Yeah, so we don't have enough.
We don't have enough space. And I only had one ball. I was actually expecting about 30 to 40 people, mashallah. If you have a beanbag,
Blank piece of paper that they can
Crunch
roll
it
up
up.
into a ball on your table. Can you do that? You need a nice sized ball.
I also have a ball, and who wants to claim it? Wants to claim it? All right. Oh, mashallah. It was planned for her, mashallah.
So we need a good sized ball. Think of a piece of paper on here. Crunching it up into one big ball. A little bit bigger.
Does anyone need paper? Now again, I want you to imagine your students are walking in. You have them in a circle. The circle is your circle here on the table. All of your students are in a circle right now. Have them stand up, have them sit down, whatever you'd like to do. You are going to start with the greeting so that everyone is acknowledged and they are, everyone's acknowledged before you even start your day, inshallah. So,
Yeah, so make sure that your ball is heavy enough to toss.
yes, please, so maybe crunch a couple of papers together.
Great modeling.
All right, does that go up there? Now, you are going to toss the ball to someone on your table and say hello in a language, in a different language. So if somebody did in Arabic, don't do it in Arabic. Try a different language. There's hola, there's, give me some ideas. Good job. Buenos dias. Go ahead and make sure everyone in your table have a chance to get the ball. Go ahead. Guys, why don't you go ahead and stand up, please. Everyone, stand up. Stand up, stand up, stand up. Guys, I think it'll be more fun if you stand up. Guys, why don't you stand up? It will be more fun. Stand up. Make sure you say their name. Make sure you say their name, inshallah. Like, Assalamu alaikum, Sister Baha, how are you? Assalamu alaikum, Okay, so I hope the way it went on is this. Everyone in your table was acknowledged, everyone was greeted. Everyone said your name? Okay, so I just need to make sure that we hit those targets, inshallah. Our next activity was supposed to be an academic one. I have to improvise because of the class size, mashallah. And so, alhamdulillah, I came ready. Instead of doing this academic one, I do need to tell you though about it. There are tons of ideas out there. I'll show you the resources at the end of the presentation. But what I did was, if my class were in a circle, each one would get an index card. One had the answers, an equation, and one had the answers to the equation. Okay? And they are required to find each other. Okay, so they have to say, what's 10 times 9? Who has 90? Who has 90? And they go around. But they can't speak. They can't talk. It's in a very silent way. And you can also do that with vocabulary words and their definition. But they can't speak. That's a disclaimer. Okay? But since I don't have enough, mashallah, what we're going to do is you're going to find some empty space around you, and without speaking, line yourselves up from young to by date of birth. Date of birth, without speaking, without talking. You can do signs, you cannot write. You can do signs. And then at the end, we'll see if everyone is correct, inshallah. Each table on their own. We have some space here. From youngest to old. No talking.
No talking, we should be on a level 0. We still hear chatter. Does everybody know champs? We still hear chatter. This is a quiet activity. And we are lining up by month and year. I mean month and day. I'm sorry, month and day. It's birthday? I mean month and day. Month and day. Okay, so there's some confusion here. Some people are doing month and day, and some people are doing age. So to make it easy, your birthday, yes. Okay, so your birthday. So we're lining up by your birthday. And the whole thing, just your birthday, yes. Yes. All right. So age. All right. So now that you guys are arranged by age, we're going to connect one letter to the other.
I'll give you guys one more minute. All right, 30 seconds. I'll give that group over there 30 seconds, which all looks like they're finalizing. Who would like to go first? Okay. You good? All right. Who's first? By age, birth date? Oh, just years. Okay. Let's see if it's okay. If it's correct. 1967. All right. 13 3/4, they will be very proud to tell their age, inshallah. And as for some of you, mashallah, you do not look your age groups. Mashallah. I'm very surprised. I mean, look her, she was 12 years old. That's amazing. Mashallah. That's amazing. All right. So the activity was supposed to be, again, this. And once you pair them together, once their questions were paired with their answers, there are two people now. They're supposed to share what's on their name tags. So go ahead, please share with your group your name, your position, and something interesting about yourself. Once the sound dies down, I will assume that you're finished, inshallah. So give about 30 more seconds though. Was everyone
3. Finish your last thoughts. 2 and 1. And our attention is back up front. All right, so we're going to review the model for a morning meeting just so that you make sure that you understand. We had a little modifications that we had to do today, but the main purpose of morning meeting is to build community and set the tone for the day, all right? And so by building community, you're bringing everyone together to make sure that they feel a part of your classroom and a part of the circle within the school. And generally when you start off morning meetings at the beginning, because you're setting the tone and because you're working on building community at the beginning of the school year, it's going to take time. And that as you continue to do that and build that routine and students begin to understand and know what that routine is, that morning meeting becomes smaller and smaller. So it may start out 30 minutes. It may get down to 20. It may go down to 15, depending on your routine and how you've established that routine and set the tone in your classroom. Because students will come in looking forward to your morning meeting. So again, your morning meeting starts with a greeting, all right? In the morning as you're coming in, you want to make sure that you are greeting students at the door. Be outside, be present, be happy, be engaged with your students. As you start your day. I know a lot of times we find teachers still working to get things going as students are walking in. To set the tone in your classroom, stop. Take that 2-3 minutes to greet every student as they walk in the day. It helps set the tone for the day. If you're in a bad mood, it will set the tone for the day. They will be in a bad mood. So leave your worries past your door, and as your students are walking in, you're coming in with that, "Salaam alaikum. How are you? How's your day? How's it going?"
She was really good.
Right? All right. So, you set the tone for the day. Then, when you get into your morning meeting, they set the tone for one another. It's a positive environment. It's always positive. When we set our rules, when we set our tone for our class, we set it in a positive way, right? So instead of saying no talking, how do we switch that positively? Because no talking is negative, right? So we switch that and say, when someone else is talking, we're listening. So that means if a teacher is talking, I'm listening. If another student is talking, I'm listening. So we're not all talking at the same time. So it can be referenced in a very positive way, right? When we say no hitting, keep our hands and feet to ourselves to protect one another, to make sure everyone feels safe in our classroom. So much more positive and happy and reinforcing. We set the climate for our classroom and our students help set the classroom for their class community. That's what this is all about. The next thing is your group activity. Your group activity teaches kids or children how to interact with one another in a positive way, how to learn from one another in a positive way, how to respect one another in a positive way, how to learn about our differences and learn about our similarities as a community, because our communities are so diverse. And that's the beauty of Islam. They're so diverse, and we are engaged and we are commanded to learn from one another. So we do that in our group activities, and we do that in our sharing, right? Because if we don't share, how do we learn? And we do the same thing in our teacher community as well. How many times have you have K through 12 schools, K through 8 schools, how many times does the kindergarten teacher talk to the 8th grade teacher? Or how many times does the academic teacher talk to the Islamic studies teacher? Is there a community in your school? We model what we want to see happen in our classrooms. So if we don't interact with others in our classrooms, we can't expect our children to interact with one another within. I mean, if we don't interact with one another in the school, we can't expect our teachers to interact with our students to interact with one another in the classroom. You guys get me, right? You got it, right? And so that's how we build community. And then our morning message sets the tone for the day. What are we going to go out and do for the day? What are our next steps? What are we venturing off into? If there is a problem that we had the day before that we want to address the next day, this sets the tone for that. Let's discuss it, right? Or we worked on math and I saw that students had a really hard time with a concept in math. Then we're going to bring that up in our morning message. I noticed that you all still had trouble with this particular concept. That's acknowledging that you know your students and you see them, right? And you're not moving forward because you care about how they learn. And so you set that tone within your classroom. Your students are constantly feeling empowered to do. So that's where we are with that. So we're gonna move on to morning message, and here's Eman.
All right, for the sake of time, inshallah, we have about, 3 minutes left. Here's our morning message. So we're done with the morning meeting. You ask everyone to return to their seats because you are in a circle environment. You go over the message just like Sister Bertina told us. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I hope you learned a lot today, and we'll take it back to your classrooms. Please return to your chairs. You're supposed to be in a circle. And let's finish off the last segment of the responsive classroom presentation. Again, it sets the tone, create the positive power of community, everything that Sister Bertina just told us, mashallah, to model and practice social and emotional skills. It's all about modeling, everyone, to merge social, emotional, and academic learning. Here are the practices. It goes into detail in their books. I highly recommend, if you're an administrator, there are trainings that take place all around the United States. All right, there are plenty in the West Coast and plenty in the East. So please look up those trainings. If you're a teacher, let your administrator know that you want to take that professional development. There is a segment for middle school as well, for 5th to 8th. How many of you teach middle school? How many of you teach elementary? Okay, good. High school? Okay. For high school, this segment here can work. An advisory meeting in the morning is so essential. It does help. That's my signal. Hurry up, Eman, you need to finish. All right, exit ticket, really quick. This would be very helpful for us. On a piece of paper, please jot down as you're leaving, are you working with a similar approach? If so, how? Let me know. I'd like to learn about what's going on here. I'm new to Tampa, by the way. I've only been here for 11 months. Last year when I was here, I was like this big. You're the one who introduced me. I was pregnant. But alhamdulillah, here I am, almost a year later. So I need to learn about, mashallah, this community here outside from every other school out there. How likely would you implement this program in your school? I would like to know, mashallah. And if you ever implement something similar, or if you do, please email me. If you have any questions, if you want more information, anything, just let me know. This is the resource page. This is where you find most of the information. There are plenty of resources out there. There's a bank of morning meetings, ideas, activities in this booklet. There's the website, you can take a picture of it, and you can email me or call me if you have any questions about it. And we can take a vote. If you'd like her to keep talking and I just skip my session, we can do that too.